Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, top 1 financial advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. Today, we have to talk about a company that has been completely off the radar, and I feel like literally no one has been talking about it. So today, we need to expose this company. But first, shout out to Chris, who posted yesterday under our, what are you most thankful for in terms of your portfolio? He posted about Crocs, which I completely forgot existed. Now, Crocs got quote-unquote famous back in 2020 due to the pandemic, and the stock absolutely took off. It was one of the best stocks in the market back then. And since then, I just, again, totally forgot about it. I've done a few videos about it, but again, that was a year and some change ago. Y'all tell me why Crocs is up close to 90% in the last 6 months. Now, if you zoom back an entire year, it's down about 43%, so it has been rough. But if you started investing in Crocs a few months ago, you have made a lot of money. So shout out for Chris for that pick, and I would be quite thankful had I picked that one up too. And again, I just forgot that would existed, and would not have thought that it would have continued to do well, at least in that short time span. Aside from that, though, here's the real thing. The semiconductor space has been terrible. We've talked about it. Nvidia is not doing all that well. AMD is not doing well. Intel is not doing well. We've discussed all of this before. And then we even talked about last week how Warren Buffett, I think it was last week, if it wasn't this Monday, we talked about Warren Buffett buying Taiwan Semiconductor, which hadn't been all that great. They're all at least down 15, 20% or more. So tell me why there is a semiconductor company that is up 35% in the last 6 months and up close to 20% in the last year. That one is Onsemi. I'm going to read you a quick description of what they do and why they might be a bit different than the others, and why, of all the spaces, why this one semiconductor company could be quite good. And the other thing too is it's inside the S&P 500. And while I don't think anybody can name all 500 companies, and technically it's actually a little less than 500, it's like 480 something. They change. It's almost never exactly 500. But aside from that, almost nobody knows every single company inside the S&P 500. But these are usually quote unquote prominent companies that you should probably have heard of. Like, I think we've all heard of Intel, but for me and nobody else to almost never hear of On is interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and read their quick description, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. If you want to hear more about it, perhaps in the members only, or even on a Monday or something when things are kind of slow, I would love to do a much deeper dive here. But I do have some information that really illustrates why this one could be setting things apart from the Nvidias and the Intels of the world. So I'll go ahead and read it. And I guess the full name of the company is Onsemi, Onsemi. On Semiconductor, perhaps put together, I'm not entirely sure. But Onsemi is a supplier of semiconductors, and this is from Morningstar Research, and I can put a screenshot here as well. But Onsemi is a supplier of semiconductors and sensors focused on the automotive and industrial markets. Onsemi is the second largest power chip maker in the world and the largest supplier of image sensors to the automotive market. They're vertically integrated, blah, 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 blah. So this is a little bit different because Nvidia is kind of more so focused on gaming. Other chip makers are more so focused on, I wouldn't say graphics for Nvidia, video games, personal computers, things of that nature. They seem to be more in the automotive space, in the industrial markets, which is interesting just off of the description, because we know that we're producing more cars now than what we were in 2020. We know that cars aren't going anywhere. The question is whether it's going to be gas-powered or electric, but cars in and of themselves are not going anywhere. But it made me think, okay, cool, you're in the semiconductor market. I mean, stocks like Tesla aren't doing well. Ford is GM, like it's not like those stocks are doing well to make me think that the suppliers that help to create those cars will be doing well. So what I did, like I always do sometimes, is say, look, let me go look at the financials. Something has to be going right for this company to be up like it is in this particular space. Because again, you can throw a rock at a semiconductor company that's down 20% or more so far in 2022. So this is what I did. This is the financial, just a briefing of the financials. I pulled this from public, but just the financials for the company in terms of revenue and gross profit. Now, this is not everything we need to know, but you know the main thing here. Everything is going up and to the right. a beautiful chart every single time. When you see year after year, you're bringing in more money, you're just a little bit more profitable, and things are just gliding the way that, we would all want them to grow. And that's perfect. That tells me like, oh, I get it now. I totally get it. However, let's compare it to something like Nvidia. And Nvidia, and this is almost a similar chart to any of the other companies we mentioned, things were fine, and then it started to kind of dip off near the end, and we'll see where it goes. That is one reason why these other chip companies have not done well. We've talked a little bit about this, especially for AMD and Nvidia, where when we were on lockdown, people were buying more computers, gaming a lot more because they were at home, whereas that demand, that spike in demand has kind of fallen off, which is one reason why they lost so much revenue in those spaces. That has not seemed to happen here with Onsemi. And the interesting thing here too that we can learn from this is, we talk about this all the time, but the strategy behind the company, right? What they really do can absolutely make a difference. It's the same thing when we talked about REITs. Every REIT is not the same. Like, you can be a real estate investment trust, but some are focused on tech. Others are focused on communications. I have Prologis. They're on logistics, not factories, but logistic plants where, like an Amazon will pull in their truck and figure out how they ship all of these things across the world. That's what Prologis does. They, own those warehouses in those buildings. Hadn't done well for whatever reason, right? Another AMT, that's American Tower. They own the land and the towers for T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, so on and so forth. So each one of them, even though you're in real estate, is completely different. And semiconductors is clearly the exact same here, where you can be a semiconductor company, but because you're not focused on gaming, because you're not focused on graphics, you're not focused on PCs, you're focused on the automotive side of things, and people are moving towards electric, perhaps the demand in that category of semiconductors has done incredibly well, and apparently so. And don't forget this part too. This is during the time, which I think we all know, but this is during the time with high inflation as well as higher interest rates. And across the board, tech has not done well. It is very difficult to find 3 to 4 to 5 tech stocks that are doing well right now, especially, the larger ones that we know of, right? Microsoft, Apple, I guess you can throw Netflix is one of those that have, turned around and started going in the right direction. But still, Amazon, that's tech for the most part. Google, that's tech for the most part. It's just not doing what tech normally does. But ON Semiconductor is doing what we thought tech should be doing, and is kind of subverting expectations when it comes to what we expect so far in 2022, but especially in this space. So again, the lesson here is understand what you're investing in and understand the differences between, stock A and stock B, even though you're in the exact same category. This example here could also play a factor in the differences between a Walmart and a Target. We've talked a little bit about that before, and to give you just a little bit more detail, because I don't think I mentioned this, perhaps I did, one of the differences between the two, other than the clientele and the branding and all that kind of stuff, that Walmart has 50% of their revenue coming from groceries, whereas Target only has 20% of their income, their revenue coming from groceries. So in a space where inflation is hurting everybody and people are making these switches, they have to go to Walmart. If I have to choose, right, I'm going to have more choices at Walmart. Now, are their choices as quality as they are at Target? Question for another day. However, think about Thanksgiving, think about the holidays coming up. If I'm going to get food, Walmart has the ability to pull in more money when it comes to an essential, right? I have to have food. Walmart is one of those options, whereas Target may not even be my second or third option because they don't have that large of a grocery aisle in most cases, right? So those background strategy differences are one of the reasons why they perform much differently. Now, both are down for the most part. I think Walmart's like barely teetering positive, but it's vastly different than where Target is, where they're, down 30% or more, if I had to guess. Now, aside from that, same thing here with Onsemi, where they're just in the best category for semiconductors, apparently, and it sounds like AMD and everybody else needs to get on that side of the fence when it comes to producing chips. So just something that stood out to me. I think they're based in Arizona, founded in 1999, And again, yeah, they're headquartered rather in Phoenix. They're founded on July 4th of 1999, and it's just completely not on the radar for most people. And maybe I missed it. If I missed it, y'all let me know that it was on your radar. And if you were investing in it, you need to do two things. Number one, I told you so. You feel free to comment that, put that in the comments if you wish. But if you had this company this whole time, shame on you for not saying anything sooner. And then you definitely should have commented on yesterday's video, because I would definitely be thankful had I known about a company like this. And if you want to learn more about a company like this, definitely make sure that you're inside the members only. If y'all want me to do a breakdown, I'm going to do a breakdown on it. And then later tonight, inside the members only, I'm going to walk you through my trading process and show you a profitable trade that I did, and show you kind of how to analyze it and how to use this to become a more effective investor if you're looking to trade. All right, that is it for me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.